Welcome, 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 everyone, to the Improvly Speaking podcast. Woohoo! I'm your host, Dana Gowan, and I'm so grateful that you're joining today because we have a fantastic, fun, and funny guest on today. It is sure to be a blast. You're going to have a good time, and I know I'll have a good time too. For anyone who's joining that's new and you need a recap of what we're all about here on this podcast, I like to interview 3 different types of guests. 1, our experienced improvisers. 2, people who've signed up for improv classes to help them with professional and personal life skills. And 3, people who use improv in their daily lives and jobs and don't even think of it as improv, but improv is everywhere. So really everyone uses it in their daily lives. And our guest today is an experienced improviser who lives and breathes and eats and drinks in improv, and he does it in everything he does. He just loves improv so much. So I'm so excited to jump in and learn all the things from our guest today, Fernando Funes. Fernando Funes is a writer and performer who produces shows in the LA and Orange County area. Some of his improv shows include Dazed and Confused Poetry Club, Duo It Again, which is a new one for 2023, which usually performs at the Lyric Hyperion, The Duplex and Fernando's Longform Supreme at the Glendale Room, Cuñadas y Carnales, which is a Latinx panel show, and The Piñata Party at the Ledge Theater. He is currently on the Pack House improv team Nuisance and Pack Sketch House team Moonshot. He also performs with the Company of Angels in LA, which is super cool. His short form, The American Dream, has been featured in over 43 film festivals, including the Philadelphia Latin Film Festival. He founded the Latinx theater company, the Latinx comedy Pachanga, which is a variety show featuring some of the best Latinx sketch comedians, stand-up comics, and musical artists. He is a graduate of the Pack Theater sketch program, Spectacles Improv Engine in Orange County, and of Endgames Improv in San Francisco. Literally, he has performed in hundreds, might be thousands now, hundreds to thousands of shows in Los Angeles, Orange County, San Francisco, Oakland, and even Brazil, which is amazing. He enjoys writing, improv comedy, and celebration, and he loves, and I mean absolutely loves, to bring people together. Please welcome the super fantastic, super fun, super funny Fernando Funes. Welcome, Fernando.
Hey, awesome. Thank you for having me, Dana. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored and excited to talk with you today.
Oh, I'm loving that you're on, and I'm so excited to chat. You have a wealth of improv and sketch and just overall comedy experience. So I'm excited that you're here.
Yeah, please ask away. Happy to share whatever you want to hear.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, Fernando and I met at one of your LA improv summits, which I know is on hiatus for a little bit right now, but one of your improv summits. And then we both went to Camp Improv Utopia, Yosemite in September 22.
Yes. Yeah. It's so cool. I'm so glad I met you in both. Yeah. It's so cool meeting you. I'm so glad you're doing this. This is like a Herculean effort. Anything that is a podcast it's so much work.
It is a labor of love for sure. And I know we were talking a bit before this, and you said you're kind of feeling inspired to start your improv podcast up again after a little hiatus.
Yeah, I was looking up, just talking to you about this, and I have 2 recordings on Zoom that I have to download and upload. It's just like you have to go listen to it, and you have to like take out bullet points, and you have to write a description, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It is always way more fun to be a guest on a show than to be the host.
Yeah, so thank you for doing it. Yeah, and it's so cool meeting you, and you're getting into it too. You're really just jumping headfirst into the improv scene, right?
I'm trying. I'm about 3 years in. Versus, how long have you been doing improv? 11 plus? Have you lost track now?
Man, I wish it was 11 plus. Let me see here, since like fall 2008. So I don't know. 13 and a half years, maybe.
Yeah, that's
No, longer. I don't know. It's a long time.
oh, we have to do math right now. That's
Oh,
almost
14 and a half year. Yeah.
14 and a half, almost 15. Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm in too deep to quit now.
I like that mentality. Like I've been too deep. I've given this much. I've given almost 15 years. I might as well just keep going, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm having fun. I also do sketch, and that's like a different way of comedy. It's funny. I used to think, oh, they're all the same, but no, they're so different. They're all just so different. And the deeper you go into one, the more you realize it caters to a certain kind of person, or a certain kind of person is attracted to it. So, but I don't know. I love it all. It's all fun.
Yeah, I kind of feel that too, and I like all the different forms. I do think at the core of it, like improv shows up in all of them a little bit. I think more
Yeah.
than others. I mean, improv can show up in sketch if something goes wrong in the
Yeah.
sketch, and then certainly in acting and stand up. There's a lot of improv there. I feel like improv is kind of at the core, but really they all help each other, right? I mean,
Yeah. It's funny. If you look at it like, because I've been very involved in sketch the past few years, every sketch person that I know, they do 2 out of 3, which the 2 out of 3 are stand up, improv, and sketch. So
mhm.
it's either someone does stand up and they do sketch, or they do improv and sketch. It's very rare that you'll find someone who does all three, or maybe one dabbles in all three, but like being good at all three is rare. Where you can be good
Yeah.
at two, like so it's just interesting the people who like stand up versus improv, or improv versus stand up, but they'll both do sketch. It's all really interesting.
For sure, yeah, and I just took a weekend clown workshop at UCB. Have you done any clowning or anything?
Yeah, I did a bunch of clowning. I'm part of Catsby, which is
Okay, yeah.
yeah, it's the second and fourth Sunday of the month. It's a workshop and community and show. It's been going on for years now. Chad Damiani runs it, and it's a free
Mhm.
workshop. You just got to sign up and get in the list. I'll give you the info for it.
Absolutely.
Who'd you take the clowning class with?
Zach Zucker.
Oh, that guy's like a local legend. Yeah, everyone knows that
Uh-huh.
guy. Yeah, he's real
He's
funny.
which I feel like is like true clown, like, everybody knows that guy. In, like, the best way possible there too, like, everyone knows him.
Oh no, I
Um,
know. Clowning is I'll say this, not and clowning is just it's funny. It's like clowning is like it's kind of on the fringe of improv, stand up, and sketch. And it's not for everyone, but the people who get it and who dig it, man, they don't want to do anything else. They'll stop doing other things because they just like clown speaks to them in some crazy way. It's beautiful. It's just like I haven't been able to go that deep in clown as much
For
as I want to.
sure. I took it to use it to help my improv and my public speaking and stuff, and I see some great applications for it. Certainly look to explore more, but yeah, I mean, there's a whole world out there that is pretty cool and very interesting, and it's going to take a while to explore.
There's so much out there. It's just like it's there's just so many things you could live your whole life and not do all the things that comedy has to offer.
Well, and I love that, like, hey, I've been doing it for 15 years. I'm in too deep now. There's more to explore. Just gotta keep going, I guess.
Yeah, it's fun. I think the reason I've kept it going for so long too is new projects pop up that stimulate you creatively and they keep you just engaged. So whenever a new project pops up and it's like, oh, that gets me to it. And then sometimes it's funny, something will end and then like there'll be a little bit of a pause and then something new will begin. Or, I always have multiple things, multiple irons in the fire. So sometimes you take one out and you play with that one a bit. Another one's there waiting for you to go back to it when it needs you to go back to it. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I follow you on social media. It seems like you're always doing something. You've always got a new show going on. You're always in a show. And I want to get to that, but first I want to just learn more about your journey. Like, how did you get into improv? Why did you start doing improv in the first place?
Sure, that's a good question. I grew up watching a lot of comedy, just like on TV, just like TV shows and movies, and I'm a '90s kid, so the '90s
Uh-huh.
were just a great time for like comedy. You had a bunch of amazing SNL cast. The Simpsons was it's like in its peak run. The amount of just comedy movies, like, man, like, not to speak ill of today, the movies are great, don't get me wrong, but just there just seemed to me so many like just amazing comedies back in the 90s. And it was like the heyday of like Jim Carrey and Mike Myers and Chris Farley and that kind of comedy. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I watched a lot of that. And then I was in Virginia visiting my uncle, who was like my grandfather, kind of. And, Virginia is a very boring place. Nothing against people in Virginia. But if you grew up in Southern California, you're so used to just stuff all the time.
Is that where you grew up? You grew up around here?
Yeah, I grew up in Santa Ana, which is in Orange County. So, like, we're spoiled out here. People who are not from here, they tell me that all the time. They're like, you guys have no idea how good you have it here. So I was in Virginia. I was in Manassas Park, which I think is where the Battle of the Bull Run took place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but my uncle is an elderly fellow at that time, so he could have spent a lot of time with us, and it was like kind of a suburb that it was an hour away from DC, but culturally it might have been like a million miles away. So there wasn't much to do. So we went to like a thrift store, and there was a copy of Austin Powers, Man of Mystery. I was with my best friend at the time, who was also into comedy, and we watched it like a million times. We just like watched it a million times because there was nothing else to do. And then we saw the True Hollywood Story of Paul Rubens. In that True Hollywood Story, I learned that he was friends with Phil Hartman, who's my all-time favorite SNL cast member, and they did improv at Groundlings, and that improv was a theater that you made up. Literally, that was the first time I have ever heard of improv. Was in Virginia in that True Hollywood Story episode that was on like at 3:00 on a Wednesday. And that's where the seed was planted of, oh, there's a way that you can actually learn to do this. And then when I was in high school, my junior year, for some reason, I was like, I'm going to go do a play. And I had never any inclination of doing theater ever. And like the thought had never popped into my mind as like, I'm going to be a comedian when I grow up. It never occurred to me. And I auditioned for this part in a play, and I got a good part. It was like a mid lead or something, like a good supporting part. And they just kept casting me in good parts, and I just kept doing that and doing that. Then I graduated, and I lost my confidence, and I tried doing it in community college, but I was just so nervous and such a nervous wreck, and I was a very anxious guy. And I took a few years off, but I really missed it. And I got laid off from my job. I had a really rough manual labor job working construction rentals. No. I got laid off from that job, and I was like 22, maybe. I was a kid, and I was like, I should go back to school full time. I don't want to do manual labor anymore. So I went to Disneyland, and I got my old job back because I worked there in high school. And I was like, all right, I'm going to school full time. I'm going to figure this out. And then there was an improv class that popped up, and I was like, you know what? I got to do it, just so that way I'm not an old man saying that like I didn't chase what I wanted, So I took it, and I took it at a good time. There's a lot of people in there who like were really ambitious, and yeah, man, all of us, we all just ate and slept and breathed improv, and started an improv club, and we like worked. We like literally we rehearsed like once a week, sometimes 2 times a week, to not do any shows, and then we literally rehearsed one school year to do like 1 hour show. It was kind of crazy in retrospect.
And so that's back in 2008.
Yeah, 2008, okay. 2008, 2009. Wow. Yeah, it's funny because we were like, all right, this show is going to make us or break us. Like, this is going to separate the boys from the men, that kind of thing. I don't know. When you're starting something like that, it's all high stakes. It's all life or death.
I feel that. Do you feel like that perspective has changed? Like, I mean, you're on stage. How many times would you say you're on stage per week and then per month kind of thing?
Oh, man.
If you even had to estimate.
I want to say right now, my goal this year is to do at least 100 shows.
Okay.
I've done at least 30 shows this year.
We're recording in end of March-ish.
Yeah.
So 30, you're right on track.
Yeah, yes. I'm doing like, I don't know, maybe 2 shows a week on average. Sometimes there's a week I won't do anything, but then the next weekend I'll have like 4 shows. Yeah.
You're like twiddling your thumbs, like something feels off. Like I should be doing something right now. This feels weird. I don't have a show.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's like, it's funny. The other day I didn't have a good show, and that's just the nature of things. I didn't have a good show, but it was for reasons that were under my control. I just was kind of checked out. I was tired.
Okay.
I was like, damn it, Fernando, you effed up. That you shouldn't have done that. You should have been better. So now it's a thing where I'm like, no, all right, I have to make sure that before I go on stage, I have to check in with myself and remind myself that, I'm here to give a good show. People are counting on me. People bought tickets. My partners are counting on me. There's a promise I made in the advertising. I have to live up to it. Which, like, I would do that before. It's just like when you do so many, sometimes you forget to do that. But like, I had a show last night. It was amazing. It was a great show. We had a packed house. We had 42 improvisers. It was awesome. So yeah, it's funny because I meet someone who's new to improv, and like they have that, like, I'm here to win. I'm here to win it. And I support that. It's just funny because I'm so disconnected from that now that I just forget. I forgot that I was that way as well.
Yeah, what do you think? Where do you think the shift comes in too? Where, because I feel that way, like that high stakes perspective. I certainly had that kind of like it's make or break, and oh, I've got to get on a team and I've got to be performing. I've got to be up on stage. Otherwise, what's the point of doing all of this? What's the point of spending all this money? Blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah,
I think I'm kind of past that, but like in the beginning, like you kind of
yeah.
have those thoughts. So where do you feel like you had that shift where it's like, okay, it's not high stakes. I'm just going to get on stage and have fun now?
I don't know, man. I think it's just performing, and it's just performing to get better. It's like those corny quotes, like you can't compare yourself to anyone but yourself. So
Hmm.
I remember back in the day, we're all so competitive with each other. It's like, I'm funnier than him. No, no, I'm funnier than you. That kind of stuff. We're all friends at the same
Right.
time. I don't know if that's still a thing if you're starting off. I imagine it is, but at some point, you just like, once you've played for joy, or you play to test yourself, or there's people you love to play with, then it shifts because you're like, oh, I don't care who comes because I love playing with these people, or you know, whoever shows up. But I wrote this amazing thing. I want to share it with everyone. So I think when you're coming from a place of joy, that's joy for you, um, then I think that's where there's a shift that happens. The people who I think quit improv, maybe it's like they discovered it just doesn't bring them joy, so they stop doing it. So yeah, so I don't know. I don't know where it happened. It's also a thing too, though. It's like you're not going to make everyone happy, so
Yeah.
you can't do improv that you think is going to make a critic happy. Like, I'm not like an LA Times critic, like a community critic, someone in the community who has influence or anything like that. And I forget about that. Oh my god, these communities. Oh, you better make sure that person likes you or this person likes you. It's all kind of silly in a way, but it is for some people. It's like, that person better like me, or if not, it might, I don't know, deter me or something like that. So I guess just playing from a place of joy. That's how I stay even in this crazy improv world.
I love that. That is such great advice, to play for joy. And I am realizing that now. And the more people I meet, just the more connections, meeting people like you. And you meet a new friend almost every time you take a class or you go to a show and stuff. Like I did a jam the other day and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And I'm not a huge jams make me nervous still. Like
Yeah, some of
they
them aren't great. That's not bad.
yeah, they're kind of, some of them are cringy, and then
Yeah.
it's hard to play with new people sometimes too. And but this one was actually like I left like that was really fun, and I should try to put myself out more more and enjoy it. And joy comes from the enjoyment there. So just remembering like what's the end game, what's the why here? My why is to have fun and enjoy it too, which I know others have other goals from it, and that's where the high stakes comes in.
Yeah, yeah, man. I don't know. I've been angry at the improv world many times, for different reasons. So it's not all happy go lucky, but I think you do have to be aware of what your goals are and everything like that. It's like Man, so many people come to LA to do improv because they think it's going to make them big.
Right.
And like, not, I don't want to deter anyone from doing that. But if you study all the people who blew up from improv, I don't want to talk shit on improv, but it's because they did a written thing that they used improv principles to write, and the writing and then the networking and the show business stuff that you got to do is what got them big. It's like they applied to a contest, their screenplay or their pilot, or they're a really good performer. They did JFL, the JFL character showcase. But it's like just being on an improv team itself won't necessarily make your career. You can meet important people, influential people, but it's like it's also it's the other things that are gonna break you through, And it took me a while to figure that out. I was like, I'm good at improv. Why aren't I on SNL?
That is such a good point with the writing, because that's the hard stuff, right? Like writing is a lot of work. I mean, improv is a lot of work too, but improv, you kind of show up. You just show up and you do the make 'em ups and it's all fun and games. Writing, like sketch comedy,
Yeah.
is so hard because there's so much that goes into sketch. It really is a labor of love too. Sketch comedy, like, putting on a sketch show takes so much work and time versus an improv show.
Improvisers, oh man. Because once I started doing sketch, I did some sketch shows in Orange County that I wrote and produced with some friends, and we all directed it together. And they were a lot of fun, but we were just kind of like figuring out on our own when I actually started doing sketch at the Pack Theater. And I was like, oh my God, it's so much work involved. It's like, it's 20 hours of work for like a 25-minute sketch show. And that's like on the low end too. And then what happens if improv are spoiled because you rehearse, if you get a good house and there's magic in the air, and you'll get some crazy laughs. Like you'll get some laughs. Like you're just thinking to yourself like, oh my God, what did I do right now? So in improv, I've had that a lot, I'm not saying like I'm the best improviser. I've just been doing it for a long time. So, I've had those moments, those nights. It spoils you though. Cause then you're like, oh man, all right. All I got to do is out there and just show up and I'll do it. And now it's sketch. It's like, no, man, it's like, all right, first off, you got to think of an idea and then you got to write it down and then you got to edit it to a point where you feel comfortable bringing it to your sketch team, and your sketch team has to read it. And they give you notes and you rewrite it and then you vote on it. All right, if it gets voted in, awesome. But now you have to produce it. Do you have a bunch of crazy props you have to get now, or costumes, or you have to memorize lines and you have to figure out acting choices and stuff like that, and work with a director? Then it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that phrase, you put in 20 hours of work plus for a 25-minute show. It's so much work, but there's a lot of joy that comes from that too.
Yeah, I will say this though. It's just also the thing of sketch though. When a sketch hits, oh man, sometimes it's better than an improv high. If it like, because you're like, oh, people are laughing where I want them to laugh, or sometimes they'll laugh at things you didn't expect. So it's like, oh, okay, this is going better than I thought. It's playing. That's what they say. It's playing. Whereas an improv, you're just like in the moment and you're surprising, and the audience is in agreement with you when you and your team are in agreement about something, and so is your audience in agreement with you. That's a magical moment. Whereas with sketch, it's different. It's like, I don't know how to put it. They're just kind of like, it's like they're the same coin, but they're different sides. Like one needs the other kind of.
Well, and it's addicting too, because you're like, oh, I'm chasing that sketch laugh high. Like I want to make people laugh again in this next sketch, and you're constantly chasing it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, exactly. And it's funny. Matt Harbour, who's a Pack guy, really cool guy, just talented improviser in sketch. He's one of those guys that's just super talented. He does characters too. Someone posted something on Facebook, and I forget. He said that someone said that good improv feels like sketch because it just feels rehearsed. And then good sketch feels like improv because you feel like you're being surprised.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's a Second City thing, but like it rings true though.
Yeah, I love that. And, just thinking back to your whole journey, it's been 15 years in comedy. I love that you discovered improv from Manassas, Virginia. And even though you were so close to the improv scene in Santa Ana, you discovered it in Virginia, which is amazing. And I have to ask you, How do you think the skills of improv and really comedy in general, how do you think the skills of comedy translate so well to our professional lives and personal lives? How do these skills show up everywhere?
Sure. I think they show up all the time. It's funny. Last night we had our show Duo It Again. And so I
Yeah.
got you to do. I got 20 improv duos to re-improvise the same scene over and over.
So it's
And
two people duo, right? Duh.
yeah,
Duo. And so one group, one duo starts the scene, right?
yeah. So what it is? So me and my friend Kristen Gold, she couldn't do it last night. I had Wendy in the TV dial. I don't know if you know Wendy. Wendy, she's awesome.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, she pinched in last night, and
Oh, nice.
she was so awesome. She was emergency host, co-host. So what we do is we do a base scene, like we do like a neutral scene about something, and then the other duos just do their take on that scene. So
Oh.
it's the same scene over and over, and it's funny every time I do it. I learn more about it. It's like, oh, I can tweak it this way or tweak it that way, and it's always improving. But afterwards, we went to the bar last night, and a show is good too when people are like, "Let's go to the bar." If no one wants to
Uh-huh.
go to the bar afterwards, it wasn't a good show.
That's the metric there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that much. If people are like, "Let's go to the bar," and they're like, "Let's go now," that's because they want to keep the high going.
Uh-huh.
If people are like, "Let's go home," it's because people have shame and they don't want to see them in the eyes.
It's so true. It's so true.
I know. So we're at the bar and I'm hanging out with some friends, and I was like, every job, I was like, what sucks about comedy is it spoils you because you have all these amazing conversations with your peers and stuff like that. And or if you work with writers, it's the same thing too. It's like when you have a job and no one's funny or no one can hold the conversation. Oh my God, I hate those jobs where you're like, oh my God, these people are boring. And I don't mean to speak ill of them. It's just maybe you just can't relate to them how you want them to relate to you. That could be selfish on my end. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you have great conversations at least with your coworkers, and I think what people underestimate, or at least that I underestimate for a long time because I'm so used to it, is the public speaking aspect. I forget that's like the number one fear in the world.
For most people.
Yeah, like did you start doing improv for public speaking around that?
I conquered my fear of public speaking first because it was a huge problem for me. I would just get super red faced on stage. I would be all shaky. Like, even in a room of 5 people, like if I was standing up and all eyes were on me, I would get so nervous. And it would just multiply if there were more people in the room and if I'm on stage. And so I conquered my fear of that. And then it kind of grew like, okay, well, I'm no longer afraid. What else can I do to improve my speaking? Because I still needed lots of improvements.
Mm-hmm.
I was still getting very nervous. I still get nervous, so that's really never going to go away. But I wanted to up my game, and improv just seemed like a good choice to do that or try it out and see. And I know other people go through different routes to get to improv, but I will say improv really helped me level up my public speaking skills.
Well, there you go. It's funny. I've led so many meetings at different companies. When people ask me, "Could you lead this meeting?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care. Sure, why not?"
Because you're not afraid, right? They know you're not afraid of public speaking.
It's funny. I never think of that. They just ask me, and I'll say yes. But it wasn't until I was reminded, oh, people are afraid of public speaking. So I think public speaking is it's a great skill to have. Doing presentations, teaching classes, stuff like that. I think the emotional intelligence, because you have to be able to read a room and read
Oh, yeah.
people, and you have to use that to like, oh, okay, this person's not having a great day. Maybe leave them alone or talk to them in a way that might cheer them up, or maybe they don't want to be cheered up. Maybe they just want to stew for a bit and you got to go hear them vent or something. It's an interesting skill to have, especially with the jobs I've had managing up. Because sometimes people are unaware of their emotions. I mean, we all are, but like, I know I can be that way for sure. It just helps you manage people and the creativity aspect too, man. It's just being able to pitch things and just listen and build off things and stuff like that. I think it's great to be creative and empathetic, basically.
Well, and listening really comes in with that empathy and emotional intelligence, which certainly improv helps you. Because if you're not listening, then you're not in the scene and you're not present, and you can't quite contribute fully. If you're not fully listening, and the same thing in a conversation with someone. If you're constantly thinking like, "Oh, I got to check my email," or you're not really listening there to what their needs are, what they're really saying too.
It's funny that you bring that up. When I was in college, I took a improv leadership class.
Oh, cool that they had that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I took a bunch of leadership classes, and they had what's called improv for leaders, something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a someone from Bats, from Bay Area Theater Sports. They did Bats, and they had another improv company, and he used teaching improv to business school students and to like MBA people. And they made us read this book. It was about listening. It was like just 200 pages of how to be a better listener.
Oh, wow. That's intense.
Yeah, there's like 10 pitfalls of listening. It like really made my listening much better. And you're right, listening, I think it's such an underrated skill, and it's crucial to everything we do, but we don't appreciate it because people rather be heard than try to, process what someone else is saying. The great improvisers, the ones who are really good, they say that they just yes and everything, but they're listening. And you know, the great improv too, it's like layered. It's like you say yes and to something, and it opens up the possibility to new things. And those new things are just sometimes you're circling back the themes of the scene, and you discover new things. That's because you're listening and you're agreeing and you're paying attention.
Beautifully said. So I know you teach improv as well, right? You kind of
Oh, on
teach
and
through the
off,
on
on
the
and on and off. Oh man, I would when I was in college, I coached my college group for like 2 years.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then I coached another group for a while, and then I kind of taught sketch to my friends. I was teaching a drop-in class in Orange County for a few months, and then I
Nice.
would teach sketch writing every now and then. So I do it sporadically. I should do it more consistently. I'm going to teach one pretty soon. Actually, I taught one last year. It's how to play with emotional intelligence. So it's real fun. I've done a lot of like narrative improv. I've done a lot of mono scene teams. So kind of, I don't want to say like dramatic improv, but more like maybe like a more theatery
Yeah.
story driven improv. Not so much game. I love game though. Game's great. So and then teaching is hard too, because I was actually I was a writing tutor on and off for like, I don't know, almost 5 years. So I used to tutor a lot.
Wow.
So
Okay.
maybe I'm a better writing teacher than improv teacher, or I don't know. But
I'm sure you're great at all of that.
well, thank you. Well, when I teach improv in general, what I've learned is it's like, all right, first off, you gotta make everyone feel safe. You gotta talk about boundaries and stuff like that, which is important. I learned that from Josh Nichols, who's a camp improv person, great guy. Yeah, I studied
Yeah.
with him for about like a year and a half. He's a great guy for teaching improv, learning improv. Josh is a great guy. So is Joey Shope. I'll see what Spectacles Improv Engine. We
Oh,
love,
nice.
yeah, it's defunct now, but it was great training. So a lot of organic improv. If you like premise improv, like UCB, that's good stuff as well. It was funny when I was in San Francisco. I was on a Herald team, and we worked with a doctoral candidate from Stanford. But he was just this guy he was a UCB New York guy, and he coached us once and he never coached us again.
Oh no.
I mean, the guy was a Stanford doctoral candidate. He was kind of, I don't want to say he was above it, like he was better than us, but he did it for fun and for the stimulation. It wasn't his life. But apparently he was so good, he could have been on SNL, but he just didn't care for it. I'm forgetting his name. Is it Dan Giberman? I think that's what it is. Well, he gave me this note. He was like, well, every improv scene has a basic logic to it. Once you figure out the logic, just play the logic and you can have yourself an improv scene. And at the time, it blew my mind. I was like, oh my God. And then he was like, yeah, go watch Seinfeld. Seinfeld is a herald. So if you want to get better at heralds, just watch Seinfeld. So I immediately started watching Seinfeld, and I just like binged a bunch of Seinfeld. And if you want to get better at heralds, go watch Seinfeld. It's a herald. And it's funny because the third beat of a herald, you're supposed to bring everything together, but in a way that feels seamless and not ham-fisted or forced. And if you watch Seinfeld, the way they end their shows, there's a lot of like seamless wrapping up of all the meandering storylines. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I love Seinfeld, and I feel like I've heard that before, and I've still not, like, tried to map it out while watching, but I will next time.
Yeah. Well, if you watch right, my favorite 2 seasons are controversial. It's the last 2 seasons. That's when what's his name left the show. What's Curb Your Enthusiasm? What's his name?
Oh, Larry David
Yeah.
left the show?
Larry David left Seinfeld because he felt like he had done everything he could with it. So then he was the showrunner. So Jerry Seinfeld took over as showrunner.
Oh, okay.
Those last 2 seasons, if you watch them and compare it to seasons 1 through 7, they're like a little more wacky and over the top and unhinged. And they're much more meta too. But when you're watching it as a kid, you don't realize that. But now when you're a comedian and you have all this education knowledge, you're like, oh shit. It's like you see the math, you see the music notes, you know?
Are those 2 seasons when they were creating the show about nothing?
No, I think that's like seasons 4 or 5. It's just like,
I thought that's the meta part there.
Oh, I mean, there's meta-ness all over it, but just I don't know. There's so many good episodes in those last 2 seasons, but it's definitely like wacky and unhinged. And like, I think that's just funny. When they ended the show, Jerry Seinfeld, he's like, well, I want to end on top, you know, because it could have done who knows how many more seasons.
Oh, yeah.
But he's like, well, end on top. But also, if you watch it, it got so crazy. I don't know where they were going to go from, because it was just like crazy premises. But all that back to teaching, it's just like whenever I teach things, I always like using kind of those examples to refer back to things, because sometimes these concepts we teach, they're very abstract and they're very heady, you know, and it's kind of in your interest to kind of be well read, you know, and they tell you to be well read, but not everyone's to be well read. And then by being well read, that means you have to stay on top of whatever is new in the zeitgeist.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's so much culture that's being produced at every moment, and you have no idea what's going to capture the world's attention that you have to watch, you know, like, I mean, I haven't seen The Last of Us, but I probably should, just so when people talk about it, I know what they're talking about.
I so relate to that because I have not seen any Harry Potters or Star Wars. I'm so embarrassed.
No worries. No worries. Yeah, but it's just like, it's like you got to know it.
Or you just flub a scene, and as long as I feel confident enough to just pretend like I know what's going on, sometimes I don't have the confidence. If, you know, they're doing a Star Wars scene, but I just need to like jump in and even just make it up. And sometimes that's even funnier too.
Yeah. Because people are like, oh, she got it wrong, but it's funnier that way.
Right.
Well, when it comes to teaching, I guess, I don't know if it's a strength or a weakness, but you want to build in increments to maybe a grand lesson. So it's like a lot of smaller exercises building up to a big exercise. And then you explain the goal and psychology of each exercise so that people feel confident going into the next exercise. So you start small to end big, because people are going to have questions. So it's like you want to answer questions before people ask them, basically. So that way, when they go in to do something, they have more confidence doing it. I mean, it's not going to work every time, but, you know, I always have questions, you know, like, or my emails. People give me shit. People love my show emails or they hate them. They're like, they're too long. Or someone's like, I love that email. And the reason my show emails are too long is because, like, I don't know if you produce shows, and hopefully one day you will.
Yeah.
Like, you get asked a million questions that are kind of, I don't want to say they're dumb questions because I don't want to discourage people from asking them. But it's like, hey, can I get a comp? How much are tickets? Where can I buy tickets? How's parking? Do I have to be vaccinated? Can I wear a mask? Is there a bar nearby? Do you serve drinks? What's the bathroom? It's like a deluge of simple questions. So it's like, okay, if I just put this on the email and I organize it in a way that's just easy to follow, you know, it's just going to make their lives easier. It'll make my life easier too.
I can so relate to that. I'm a long email writer at work and stuff. I want to put all the information all in one place. I don't want to have this multiple back and forth game with all the questions. Like you said, I want to just put it all in one place. And if you didn't see it, then that's on you. But I put it there, I promise.
Yeah, like the other days, I feel so bad. Someone messaged me, like, hey, how do I get comps? And I was like, it's in the email. But I still have to go find it for them.
Right, because you're super nice and you're not like, refer to the email.
And it's like, I don't know. Well, yeah, so when I teach, I just try to make sure that I tell people, like, this is how I do improv. It doesn't have to be how you do improv. I also make sure to tell people, when in Rome, do as the Romans. I'll say that much. Because people get really caught up with their improv philosophies. So it's like, we only do UCB improv here. So get out of here if you don't. Or we only do narrative improv. Go to hell if you do game or whatever. I know that all sounds silly and frivolous, but I think it's getting better now, though. But a few years ago, it was really bad. I always tell people, like, hey, this is what I do. This is how I teach. It doesn't necessarily have to be what you do, but you can take from it what you like. But when in Rome, do as the Romans, because some people do get really anal about, like, this is the style of this place, and we will not do anything else. And like, because I've done improv with different communities and different schools of thought, and sometimes it can get toxic, and it's like, oh, all right, well, I won't do any of my other crazy stuff from the other places. I'll just try to play your music. So it's interesting.
And that makes me sad because the core of it is the joy of doing improv. And I know we get caught up in the fundamentals and the logic of it all, but at the core of it is the joys. And sometimes we lose sight of that too.
Well, here's my theory too, because I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
And I feel that, like, if I wasn't doing improv, I'd probably be running a church or something. No, it sounds crazy. There's a lot of parallels with improv and religion. It's kind of crazy.
How so?
Yeah, this is what happens when you've been doing it for almost 15 years. I feel that people, what they want to get out of religion, or what they get out of religion, they get out of improv. You get community, you get connections with people, you get relationships, you get this weekly sort of coming together, you get answers to life in a way. There's like a rubric that you can, refer back to if you have questions about life. I mean, not all the rules are going to work, but people are like, oh, okay, at the yes and, or a denial is not great, stuff like that. And we also, I don't like this a lot. We like revere teachers maybe too much sometimes, and sometimes some teachers don't. They take advantage of it. I'm not, maybe I'm in that sense too. Maybe I'll be corrupted one day. Who knows? But
never, you never.
Yeah, but it's just funny though. And then, like, people, they donate time and money to it. It's in these small markets. It's the people paying for classes, buying tickets to shows, that are keeping these theaters alive and paying for the teachers and artistic directors, stuff like that. People meet love all the time. My God, how many marriages have I seen being born out of improv theaters? And sometimes there is that cliche of teachers hating students, and that does happen. And it is what it is. But you'll see students or just people, oh, they're married now, they have a kid together, which is beautiful. But also the, like, culty aspects of religion too.
Oh, man, yeah.
Because there's some communities where it's like, there's one guy runs everything, and you better obey him or he will blacklist you and you will never perform in this town again.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird. That's weird. So, like, it's crazy to see the parallels between religion, the good and the bad, in the improv world.
I have never thought of that, but everything you said was so spot on. The parallels. That's a crazy connection, but it's true. I mean, it works.
I know. It's weird because there's certain places where, like, it's kind of like they're like, hey, join us. We'd love to have you here. It's like, come on, like, join the community. And it feels like they're inviting you to join their church. And it's like, and it's like, oh, that's so nice of you, And
you stand out at the park giving pamphlets to the improv theater, your improv show, like, come to our improv show.
Well, and I've been part of other improv theaters where they're like, all right, whatever you teach, you can't teach these following things. Or these following things go against what we believe in improv. You can't teach them. Or we highly discourage you from exposing people to these things because we only want them to know what we teach them. See, that's why I'd be like a Unitarian or something like that, because I like olive. I love game. I love narrative. I love clown. I love sketch. It's all a fusion. If you know how to do it right, it's a fusion.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, Teach, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
This is sketch specific, a very personal question here, but I have a writing partner. I'm not taking any classes right now, but I feel like I should because I really am motivated by deadlines, and I'm finding I'm not writing on my own.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to sign up for a sketch class soon just to motivate me and keep me on track with writing. But I have a writing friend. We meet monthly, usually once a month, and I started writing a sketch, and I just don't love it. I didn't even finish it. I got like 2 pages in, and we were trying to brainstorm some ideas and punch up, and I don't love it. So, do I put more time and energy into this sketch that I don't love, this premise I don't love, or do I just scrap it and move on to something else? What's your advice there?
I would say finish it and then move on.
Okay.
Just like give yourself a day, like you have half an hour to finish that sketch.
Ah.
And then you just like, you say like version 1 of sketch complete, you save it in your sketch folder and you move on. Because I think what happens if writing too is 2 things. You want to keep writing at all times because you're always improving. You just don't know. It's kind of like you're improving in these tiny, tiny increments. But because you don't see immediate growth, you think you're not improving. And that if you're consistent. So just finish it so that you can see you finished it so that you can move on to the next thing. So you don't let that being incomplete prevent you from creating the next thing. So like, as you know, I wrote a poem for every day of the year. So that's the thing I've been doing.
Yes. Yes.
So 2 reasons I do that. Well, one reason I have a buddy named Liam Manning. It was his birthday on Saturday. It was awesome. Yeah, we used to be an improv team called Big Selfie, and love that guy. One of the greatest improvisers
Oh, nice.
ever. He's kind of like the Robin to my Batman. Great guy. Great guy. At the time, I'd be writing poems sporadically on Instagram, and I was like, man, I used to be a poet. He was like, you still are a poet, and I was like, oh, thanks, man. And it's funny. Sometimes improv teachers, like Brian James O'Connell, he's a big proponent of this. He's like, you sign up for this class, you're an improviser. That's it. That's all it takes. You don't have to do this for years. You taking this class makes you an
Yeah.
improviser. And
Uh-huh.
I think sometimes maybe there could be like, am I part of this thing? But you just by you doing it, you're already part of it. So that could be part
I
of it
love
too.
that too. Yeah. So you are a poet.
Exactly. And you're a sketch writer. You're an improviser. You know, you don't need to do this for 1 years to say you're good at those things. And another thing too is there's this marketer guru. He hates that word. His name is Seth Godin, and he's big on marketing, and he writes about, I don't know, the modern economy and stuff like that. I love business stuff too on the side when I can read it, like leadership stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I could tell.
Oh, thanks. He has a book called Lynchpin, and I went to go see him
Okay.
speak. A company paid for it a few years ago. It was actually pretty cool. I went to go see him speak. They had copies of it, and the book is called Lynchpin, and it's how to become an indispensable person in your job, your community, whatever it is. And one of the key arguments is that linchpins, they ship. So what shipping is that you create something and you publish it out into the world, and then you move on to the next thing. So if you create a habit of shipping in whatever area that is that you want to ship, you will be changed by the process in ways that you can't imagine. And also your art that you put out into the world, that will change the world in a way you can't imagine, mostly for the positive, for creating good things. But just by shipping, once you get in the habit of shipping, you're just getting the habit of creating things. And every creative thing builds on the previous creative thing. And if you haven't created enough things, you might not know that. So that's why I say, like, write this one just to say you wrote it and then move on to the next one. And maybe that next one might not be great, but finish that one. And maybe the third one might not be great, but then maybe the fourth one is just like the most incredible thing you ever wrote that you had never thought you would write. Because you have to get those other ideas out first.
I'm so glad I asked that because that was a great answer, very helpful answer that I needed to hear today. And I think you're spot on because I'm like thinking about this sketch, going like, why can't I finish it? Oh, it's bad. I should just scrap it. I should move on. But what I'm hearing is it's almost hard to move on because you're going to be beating yourself up, going, oh, I failed on that sketch. I'm not going to bring anything to the table for this next one. Like, I'm going to constantly be thinking about it. But if I finish it and move on, I've processed it, I've shipped it, and now I can work on something else.
Yeah. And you inspired another thing too as well. I think it's I want to say it's Brene Brown or Elizabeth Gilbert. Oh, let me see. It's called like Magical Thinking Book. Let me look it up.
Is it Big Magic? Is that it?
Yeah. Who wrote that?
Elizabeth Gilbert. Yeah. The Eat, Pray, Love lady.
All right. Well, I was reading Big Magic. I didn't finish it, but she's talking about how we don't own ideas, how ideas choose us, and that if we don't deliver that idea on time, that the idea will find someone else to, be its deliverer or whatever.
Yes.
It's that's happened to me a few times too, where like I thought of something and I'm like, I'll do it. And then I don't do it. And then someone else would do it. And I'm like, wow, they thought about that. So it's also like, I don't know, get that idea out there so that the next idea comes and
you could be ready for it, ready to accept it too.
Yes, exactly. So like duo it again. And I don't mean to bring it up again.
I feel like that's spot on, bringing it up again and
I
again.
know,
and
exactly.
Again.
Well, it's funny. So the LA Improv Summit, right? So you did that show. And the reason I'm not doing it right now is just because I can't afford to do it. But
I gotcha.
Yeah, but because it was a good show, but it was like, there was like the eighth one. And there were always good shows. It's just like there's other challenges with it. But it was a great learning experience for sure. So there was an LA Improv Summit that, for whatever reason, it was all duos. It didn't. I didn't plan it that way. I did not plan it that way at all. It was all duos, and it was a group called Frugal Pirates from Orange County. They're really awesome. And there's a group called Belligerent. They're an old Pack House improv team from a few years ago, and they stayed together. They integrated Rich Sohn into their group. And Rich, he's an annoyance guy. So if you ever study improv in LA, annoyance style, go study with Rich. Rich is a great teacher. I've studied with him for like a year and a half online. Great guy. But anyways, so he did Belligerent, which is like 6 women and him, but only him and another person came by. And then I hosted it with my musical duo, Fringully, with my friend Kristen Goal. And it was like 4 duos that night, maybe 1 3-person team, maybe 1. There was a mashup team at the end. And it was just amazing improv. And I was like, man, that was a good night of improv. So then I was driving to LA the next day from Orange County, and the song Do It Again from Steely Dan came on.
Okay.
And yeah, if you heard the lyrics, the song is about compulsion and obsession. It's about people who are addicted to things, who they say they're going to stop them, but then they keep doing them, but like in a very poetic sense. So it's interesting. I'm a big Steely Dan fan. So as I was listening to it, and then like the duos thing came to me, and I was like, hey, what if we just got a bunch of duos to play Rashomon? And Rashomon is a short form game where you get 3 people and you do a base scene, and then you do that same scene over and over from the perspectives of each player in that scene. It's a real fun game. But like, what if we just kind of did Rashomon times 20, where we got 20 duos to improvise the same scene over and over? And even then, I wasn't too sure how it was going to happen. And I was like, this is a really good idea. And I was like, I got to do it.
Yes. And you didn't know but yourself. You said yes and.
Exactly. But who's to say that idea wouldn't have come to somebody else who made all those connections of like, let's take a risk too, like let's take a big swing. So I don't know. It's just like, but the thing is, because Kristen Gold told me this, because man, afterwards we go to the bar and we hang out. Like I said, it's a good show. People want to go to the bar and hang out. And like, we'll go to the bar and we'll hang out. People like, they don't want to go home right away, and it's a thing where it's like, Kristen Gold was like, oh, this is what you wanted the LA Improv Summit to be. And I was like, oh, you're right. Because the LA Improv Summit, I always wanted it to be a mini improv fest. But what I forgot about Improv Fest is that you make friends with people you don't know from different communities and parts of the country.
Right.
So Do It Again, there's all these people who are becoming friends with each other just from seeing each other perform. So I was like, oh, okay. So the spirit of the LA Improv Fest is living in the LA Improv Summit. So it's just interesting that but we had to do 8 summits minimum, for me to get to
Uh-huh.
that point where I can be like, oh, let's just do it again. Had there been no LA Improv Summit, there would be no Do It Again. And then Do It Again is a successful show. It sells tickets. People buy drinks. People advertise it. They post about it. I don't tell anyone to post about my shows. When people have a good time at one of my shows as a performer or an audience member, they'll post about it. And that's an honor on me. But it's not like
Yeah.
my emails, I'm not like, I don't put like, hey, you better post about my shows. I never do that.
Oh, yeah.
That's gross, hey, I'll tell them, hey, can you buy a drink? Can you buy a ticket? Like, to support the venue. I'll do that, but don't. That's a little too far to be like, praise me blindly on social media. I don't do that. But
For sure. It's like cringy, icky feeling.
yeah. So like to say back to your idea of the sketch, it's like had I not done all these improv summits, which they were. It's funny. I say artistically successful, but not commercially, and I've been there before, and it's how you learn. But it's like, but Do It Again is one of the shows where I'm like, oh, I have artistic success, and I have a commercial success, which is great. That's what you want in a show, and you don't always get it with every show because when you have both, that's a great engine for longevity and for increased creativity and community and connection. So yeah, that's what I mean. So if you write this sketch, you have no idea where it's going to take you down the line for your next sketch. For all you know, you might write a short film or something.
Well, thank you, Teach, because that was an amazing lesson learned. And I just love that you said yes, and you didn't get defeated. That's the lesson learned too. You did not get defeated by the improv summit and, saying, okay, well, that was an artistic success, but it wasn't as successful as I hoped it would be. You didn't go put your head under a rock and go, oh, I'm a failure forever. You literally got inspired by a Steely Dan song. And then you listened to that idea that was swirling above and it chose you, and you listened to it instead of it saying, okay, well, this guy's not interested. I'm going to move on to somebody else who is. So that's super cool.
Yeah. And it's funny because people are loving the show. It's crazy. People are loving it, because sometimes you'll do a show and it goes awful and you're like, that person will never work with me ever again. I don't know if that ever happened to you. It's happened to me plenty. You're like, all right, they're not going to answer my text anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's funny here. People are like, oh my God, can we do the show again? Can we what's the next one? Can you sign us up? And it's like, oh man, all right. So I had to create another show to just keep people who are excited to be part of it, to keep them engaged. So I made a new show called The Duplex, and it's a spinoff of Do It Again. And I've never had a spinoff before either.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yes, I get why Hollywood makes spinoffs now to capitalize on the success, right? Well, The Duplex, it was a show I was toying with. I was testing too. I'm also a big believer in testing things too. So you can test things and test things. So I was testing the show and the Duplex. So basically for this one, I get 8 duos and each of them get a hard 8 minutes. So that means once the clock hits 8, it's blackout. So it's not like, oh, you're meandering looking for a button.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, whatever it is, at 8 minutes, it ends. And what happens is it keeps the energy going. People are just like, oh man. So everyone just keeps going and going and going. And at the end, we do like a small montage together. And
oh, cool.
Yeah. And that's like also, I had no idea that was going to work, but for whatever reason, it works. Sometimes these things, they work and we don't know why they work, but we know they work. So it's like, all right, I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to keep doing it. So it's funny, that show, we did it earlier this month and it was a big success. So it's also the more that you produce things and try things, the more you learn what works, what doesn't work, what to do, what not to do. And sometimes some lessons take longer than others to really be ingrained. Like I imagine you're learning so much about podcasting just by doing this every week.
Oh, for sure. 100%. I've been doing it for about 4 months now since I launched, but I mean, I'm probably on like 7 or 8 months since I decided to do it. And it's like just always on my mind, but it's not a big, like high stakes thing. Mm-hmm. Back to the high stakes thing. When I first launched, it was like, people have to love this, and this has to go so well, and I've got to get so many listeners for this to be worth it. And now I don't feel that way. And I'm about 13, 14 episodes in. It's just a thing I do now. Probably like comedy. Comedy's a thing you do. It's a thing you do out of joy and to bring people together and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
the high stakes aren't there anymore, and that is part of the journey too.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely there's stakes involved. I just think when things are high stakes, I think what ends up happening is you become really rigid.
Yes,
You become
yes,
rigid. And if I learned anything, man, when you're producing things, I'm sure it happens to you in like a similar way. It's like all these kind of little fires pop up that you have to put out with whatever is available on hand.
yes.
You know,
I
so
so feel that. Oh my God, I feel that so much. That rings so true.
there you go. Right. It's like, for example, last night, my friend and partner who hosts Do It Again with me, Kristen Gold, she couldn't make the show. She
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
she wasn't feeling well. So she's like, "Hey, I can't do the show. You know, I'll do it if you need me to, but I'm not in a place to do it." And I was like, "No, don't do it. I'll find a sub." And I said that knowing like, who am I gonna ask? So like, I asked like 5 people, and all of them said no, except one, which is
Wendy for the
Wendy,
win.
Wendy for the
Yes.
win. And then like it was like, oh, I need like a specific type of person too, and it's like I just can't ask anyone willy nilly. Has to
Right.
be someone who I know is gonna be down to do this weird thing if they've never done it. Um,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Yeah, I'm here," and I was like, "Oh, you saved the day." But you know, if you're really rigid, it's like, no, it has to be this person. It has to be this person. If not, it's not gonna go well. So, but you just can't. And when you're high stakes, that doesn't mean you can't bring the importance of a high stakes thing to the work you do. You just can't let it stiffen you in terms of being agile and how you respond to things.
Beautifully said. I am just taking a mental note of that right now because that was just, oh, that lands, that hits, that plays, however whatever you say to say that resonates.
Oh
It
yeah,
surely did. Fernando, I wanted to ask you
yeah.
about, we're talking a lot about you producing shows. What calls you to produce shows? And on your bios, it says you like to bring people together, which I think all of us could agree listening to you.
Oh,
Like, certainly that is a core component to your purpose. Like, you love bringing people together. So, what calls you to do that?
you know, I have no idea. That's why I go back to the religion aspect of it. Yeah, because it's at least in Orange County. You'd be surprised how many like ex Christians do improv or low key Christians do it, or people who are raised religious. I was kind of raised religious. I went to Catholic school for a long time.
Mm. I did
Um,
too. Yeah.
oh, there you go. All right, so you know you get all of it
So that
too.
fits too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's always fun meeting a Catholic school person as an adult. It's like, oh, we got each other on some weird level.
I went to an all girls Catholic school. So that's
Oh man, where was
that
this
was a
at?
very in New Orleans, which is
Oh,
very customary. Like, all of the schools, not all of them, but a lot of them are same sex. Like, all girls or all boys Catholic
oh,
schools.
okay. That's really old school. Well,
Very old school. Yeah.
so maybe that's why I see all the religion parallels. Um, you know, when I was in college, when I was at university, when I was in UC Berkeley, some of us started a group together called TBD Comedy, and man, that first year was rough. That first year was rough. I'm not gonna lie. But our second year, we would do shows like every 2 weeks or whatever to like a good house, sometimes a packed house or sold out house, whatever. And then we go party afterwards. I was the intern at Endgame's Improv, so every Friday night. So I was just watching improv and doing improv. And then I joined a team there. And long story short, I was doing a show like maybe once a week, maybe every 10 days, that kind of thing. So when I came home, I wasn't performing that much,
Mm.
and I
Uh-huh.
missed it. And there was only like a handful of shows I could do, and I had one guaranteed show a month, and I was like, I need to perform. So I need to perform. I like being around comedy and improv and people.
And
So
people. Yeah.
yeah, but it's also a thing where it's like I also need to be creatively stimulated. So I'm like, oh, I'll do sketch, I'll do poetry, I'll do what have you, whatever is calling to me in that moment. So I produce because I have a need to perform. Yeah, that's probably the biggest. That's probably the biggest thing. I have a need to perform, so I have to find a way to do that, and so I don't know. Other people want to perform as well, so
Yeah.
it's everyone wins.
I love it. It comes from a place of selflessness and a bit of selfish, like you want to perform, but also you want to
Yeah,
help others. It's so true. Like there are many stages in the LA area to perform, but sometimes not enough, and you just got to get up there and perform more.
yeah. It's like there's this forum. I think it's everyone should join it. It's run by a great guy named Chris Griswold. I think that's his name. It's called Improv Discussion and Resources on Facebook. It's a great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will join that.
Yeah, I don't really know him. I think I only met him once. But he seems like a great guy, and he's always posting very thought-provoking topics on there or questions for people of all experiences. And someone posted like, how do you perform more? and, and I just said, book your own shows.
Uh-huh.
And then people liked it, and because it's true too. It's funny throughout the years. Man, it's happened to me a bunch, and I always feel bad for these people because I can't help them. Like I'm trying to help them, but they're not listening. Or maybe they're listening, but maybe not what it is. It's like, Fernando, how do I do more shows, man? Like, how do I perform more? And I'll tell them, well, go get a practice group going, start practicing with them.
Yeah.
Go find a place you could do a show once a month, once a week if you're up to it, and you can do that. I'm like, well, I don't want to do that.
Right. That's too hard. What's the easy route? What's the easy button here that I could hit?
Yeah, and it's like, can I just be friends with you and like you book me? And a part of
So
it is
that's
like,
your next step, improv manager.
yeah, and it's like, well, I don't know you that well. I just can't. Or sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I like you. I'll give you stage time. Like one of my best friends, Victor Brown Livas. He literally, I put a call out who wants to do a Latinx show, and he filled out a spreadsheet we made, and he even say hello. I looked at his video and I was like, this guy's funny, and I messaged him, and he's done the most pachanga shows out of anybody next to
Ah,
me.
amazing.
He's a very talented guy, just like superstar performer. But people always ask me like, how do I break into the community? How do I get more involved? And I'll be like, well, just show up to things, start talking to people, just give it time, you'll make friends. Like, well, I don't want to do that.
That consistency piece is really hard sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And I forget that too, but it's like, if you want to perform, you'll find a way to do it. But also it's like, I've had a lot of bad shows too, where I'm like, oh, I made so many mistakes on that one. But now it's like, if you produce a show, like just basic stuff, over communicate. Whoever you're going to book, just over communicate with them. You might know something and you assume someone else knows it because it's in the email, or we said it in person at the bar, but people forget things
Right.
all the time. And because you're thinking about it all the time, you don't forget it. But it's like, no, you have to remind people. You have to tell them this. You have to have patience with them. You have to have grace. If you work at a venue, what are their rules that you got to follow along? What's your agreement with them? What do you have to deliver on your end for them so you can come back? It's a lot of things I would have known beforehand. I'm glad I'm learning them though. They're great things to know.
Yeah.
But I love to perform. I love to put up shows, and like I said, everything builds on top of everything. So like, I don't know how long I'm going to do it again, but maybe, who knows? But
ride the wave, ride that momentum wave. It's going well. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to ride it. But who knows what that's going to inspire.
Exactly.
Another idea that inspires something else. And, as long as you're staying inspired and staying as long as you're staying inspired, it's easy to do this forever. All the people who I know who are still doing it and who are in love with it, they're not entrenched. Like, they're not like, I own this community, so I can't leave it. That happens. Nothing against that. But the people who are who are still doing it, it's because it brings them joy, or they're still being inspired by it in some way to do new things and try new things. So if you want to keep it going, you have to try new things. And it's funny because a lot of people, they start with improv, and improv is just a gateway to do clown or sketch or do stand up. And then they'll never do improv again. Nothing wrong with that. But it's just funny. Improv is just kind of like the base for them to do that thing that they really wanted to do, which maybe they already knew or maybe they didn't know, but they discovered it because of improv. So any artist, if you want to stay in it where you keep creating, you just have to keep being inspired and just showing up to do the work.
I am just laughing because in this episode alone, we have described improv as a religion and now as a gateway drug to other forms of comedy, which I love. I love it. Improv is all things.
I mean,
which is great.
It totally is a gateway drug. I mean, it is an addiction, though. People spend so much money
It's true.
to do improv, you know, and like these classes, man, they're expensive too. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't know how much level 1 now UCB now is, but it's like what? I don't know. It's over
like 500. It's 500, yeah, or 525. It's something around there now.
Yeah, you know, so it's like that's a lot of money, you know. I know improv is like around there too. Pack is cheap, so go straight to Pack. Well, but even then, it's like I remember people were being like, "Yeah, I took level 1 right now, but I can't take level 2 because I have to build up a payment for that.
I have to eat and pay my rent." Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, it's also addiction too because you know you have to put gas in your car to go there. You know, you have to buy tickets to go to shows. You have to buy a drink at the show or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is kind of a money pit in a lot of ways if you know, if you're not thinking about it. So yeah, it can be a gateway drug, and comedy is definitely for big chunks of it. It is definitely pay to play, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do feel that. You know, my husband actually said today, he was looking at the credit card. He's like, "You've been spending a lot on improv." And I was like, "I know, and it's worth it." I'm sorry, but it's worth it.
Hell yeah. Like if you're happy, then like, yeah, do it.
And now it's part of the business as well. So that's a whole thing too. That's part of my business and my podcast and everything. But anyway, just funny that you bring that up. And it was also called to my attention today.
Oh, I mean, hey, at least you're aware of it. People might not be aware of it. It's just it's an interesting thing. I've just been involved in it to see all the different layers and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. So you brought up as a way people ask you about like, how do I get on stage? How do I perform? And you're like, try new things, you know, put yourself out there. And you did just that with your write a poem a day goal. And I want to know more about this. So when did you set the goal to write a poem a day?
I think it was 6 years ago I started it.
Wow. Okay.
But the first 2 years I never completed it. I think my first year I got to like 275 and the second year I got to 265.
Still really impressive there. Majority of the year.
Yeah. And then it was 4 years ago that I was able to do it for the first time. So this is my 4th year where I'm about to complete it.
Bravo. Yeah, bravo. I'm so impressed. Well done.
I know. Well, it's crazy now, look, because now I have all these habits implemented specifically just to make sure I write that poems. Every day I read for an hour and I'll journal for 20 minutes. And once I do that, I can write my poem. And it's funny. The days that I do that, my poems, I'm more happy with them. And then the days I don't do that, I don't write great stuff. Sometimes I put stuff out there. I'm like, this isn't my best stuff, but I have to ship it too. And it also goes back to improv. And improv, this is something I discovered organically, but that other improvisers have as well. And it's the idea that you're only as good as your last show.
Yep. I've heard that before.
Yeah. And maybe I heard it from someone and I picked it up, or it's just I was performing a lot and it just made sense to me because, like, man, sometimes I would have an amazing show. This is years ago. An amazing show, and it's like the best high in the world, and you don't want to go to sleep, and you just want to live in that high. That's why people go to the bar too, like I said before, it's extend
live in that high.
Yeah, it's a great high, you know. I mean, you don't need drugs, you have improv.
For sure.
But the thing is, it's also back to drugs too. The crash of a bad show. Oh man, I've had shows where like people look at me in the eyes with disgust. Like people who know me, and it's just like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And I'll like race out of the parking lot because you're just like, oh, and you just feel gross and you feel like a failure, and you're just like,
Do you ever wanna apologize? Like, I'm always like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I no-butted you. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I did this. I'm like, I almost wanna, like, apologize for it." Is that
sometimes, yeah, it's funny. I remember I did a show years ago where I was like, well, I freaking sucked in that show. And then someone posted about it. Oh, that Latino guy was so funny. I loved him. And I was like, really? I thought I was terrible. But what I've learned is that I wrote this down recently too, because it's something I'm still struggling with, or you have to work with. However you feel about your performance, you keep it private, or not keep it private. Maybe you share with the performers. But if the audience had a good time, then there's no
Mm.
reason for you to steal their joy of how they perceived it. If you felt like it wasn't an artistic success, or you weren't fulfilled, or you didn't achieve what you wanted to achieve, that sucks. But if the audience dug it, that's great. You know. Another thing too, if other performers, I don't know, it's weird sometimes. It depends what your dynamic with them is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just the performers who like, I don't know, maybe you don't get along great, but you do good improv together. That happens too. It's like with music, or I don't know, you just get along great, but you don't talk about difficult things. Sometimes all you can do is own up what you did and what you can do better. A dark thing about improv that people don't talk about enough is people always complain about teammates. Oh, I wish this person did that, or I wish this person was more like this. And what they're saying is, how can I adjust my play to be more in tune with them? Or how can I adjust my play to know that they're going to play this way? It's a weird thing. It's like, no, I want them to adapt to me, but maybe they're not even aware that they're like that way. So why would you try to change them in a way that is going to be counteractive to whatever is magical to them as well? It's like gold, it's like the gold doesn't come just like in nuggets. You have to sift it, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's just human dynamics and team dynamics. I mean, and yeah, if you get too caught up in the drama, but it happens. It happens on, I would dare say, like, a lot of teams, and
Oh, yeah. It's a
yeah.
common thing in improv. I had a team that was kind of eroded from within because of just like, I don't want to play with that person, uh,
Oh,
that kind of stuff. And sometimes,
yeah.
I think if you're starting off, everyone's going to have that at some point. But the more you do it, the less you should do it. Or you could just be like, you know what? This person and I, we don't click. So, we'll just walk away from each other. No hard feelings.
Right. And with the poem a day, like
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I was like, what were we talking about again?
no, no, yeah. And so with the poem a day, like what lessons did you learn from that? One, that you are a poet because
Yeah.
you write poetry. What other lessons did you learn?
Oh, man.
Consistency.
Well, consistency. Well, I've been reading that book, right? I have Linchpin. I read it a few years ago. I've
Yes.
started reading it again just to kind of remind myself. And one of the things he says, not everything you ship will be a masterpiece, but masterpieces always get shipped.
I love that. That's
It,
powerful.
that's powerful. So I imagine you've already filmed and recorded a bunch of these episodes. I'm
Mhm.
sure there's certain episodes where you're like, oh man, that was something incredible right there. But maybe you weren't expecting that. You just showed up to do the work as you do for all of them. But something in that episode happened where you're like, oh man, that's going to be a special one. And you did it because you showed up. So when you show up to do the work, you increase the possibility of magic happening. Not all the poems are going to be home runs.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I'll get like a streak of like 4 really good poems in a week. And it's like, sometimes I'll write something that I'm like, I don't like this poem, but I need to hit publish.
You gotta ship it.
You gotta ship it, but then that'll be the most popular poem, like something I wrote. And I'm like, this is okay. And then people are like, man, that was profound. And I was like, oh, okay. And it goes back to the like not changing people's experience of how they receive your work. When you show up to do the work, it's gonna change you gradually, I always think of water and rocks, you know uh, so like it's a trip when you go to the beach and you're walking on sand and you don't realize, oh, this used to be a rock that was just slowly pulverized by the ocean over billions of years or whatever.
I've literally never had that thought on the beach, but that's so true.
Yeah, or you look at rocks on the beach and they're smooth, some of them, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's because every day they're hit by water and the water, smooths them out in the tiniest fashion. But if you show up every day, it will change you. So like,
Wow.
yeah. So like, if, for example, now I have a poetry show called the Dazed and Confused Poetry Club. And that came because Samantha Jane, who's another wonderful artist in the LA community in comedy and poetry and music, she just became a fan of my work. And she's like, I love your poems. She's like, you're writing some amazing things. I was like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. She's like, you ever thought about doing a show? And I was like, no, I've never thought about doing a show for poetry. She's like, we should, let's do one. I'll help you do it. So she's like, let's do a poetry show. So you started the Dave's and Confused Poetry Club. And that was her name too. She's like, let's call it that. And I was like, all right, why not? So we did it on Zoom and people liked it for the pack. And then we did it at Talk Comic Studio in person and people liked it. And then we did it
Yes.
again in person. People liked it. So it's like, oh, people like this. So then I met all these other poets I had no idea existed. And they're like, thank you for doing this. And then I joined this thing called Community Literature Initiative. And it's a nonprofit that helps writers produce a book of poetry within 1 year. I already got my manuscript ready. I'm just waiting for it to have a proof printed out. And once I get that proof printed out, I can take it to publishers to see what they think.
Are these all the poems that you've kind of collected and created over the past 4 to 6 years?
No, that book would be like this thick.
Right. Okay.
The book is called Working Class PTSD, or How I Learned to Code Switch plus Love Poems. And it's an interesting book, but when you write every day too, what I've learned is you're going to revisit certain themes over and over.
Yeah.
And the more you write about something, the more is uncovered about it, what it says about you or society or about life. So what's cool about writing these things too is the topics reveal themselves to you more. So like when I told you about it, improv is a lot like religion. It's literally a topic I've been thinking about for years. So that's why when I say these things, it's because I've thought about them a bunch and
Yeah.
they've been on my mind, and it just reveals itself to you more and more. So what's cool about poetry is like, I'll learn certain things that I didn't know before, or like it's kind of like journaling where you're like, oh, I'm writing things out and it's revealing a truth or insight to me. And also with shipping or if any kind of thing too, I've also learned is the only consistent reward is the process. So if you enjoy creating it, that is the most consistent reward. And other things, not saying they're not important, but like, if you put too much weight on like, all right, is my best friend coming to my show? Is a critic coming to the show? Do I have all the costume pieces I want for my sketch? Did I promote the show enough on these channels? And not saying those things don't matter. They do matter, but like they're a little out of your control. I mean, they're a lot out of your control. Because sometimes, man, I will promote the hell out of a show. I will
Yeah.
promote it till kingdom come. And I'll just be like, all right, it better sell out. And then no one will come. It is what it is. And I'm not trying to put blame on anyone. It's just, that's what happens. And sometimes I'll like promote a show here and there and it'll sell out because the people who are in the show are the ones who are doing all the
Right.
work. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'll take it. It's a mystery. Like I remember, oh man, one of my very first improv shows, one of my best friends who I grew up with, who I thought had been a great comedian. I was like, come to my show, dude. You'll love it. I want you to do it. It's like, all right, I'll try to make it. So it's a big show. One of my first big, like, it's like one of those like bringer shows in a way for stand-ups. It's a tournament, but it's also a bringer because people have to vote for you or whatever.
Oh.
So I go and I'm scanning for him in the audience. I'm like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And I got eliminated like first or something like that. And I was so bummed. I was like, oh man, life sucks. And then I called him. I was like, dude, where were you, man? What happened? And he's like, oh, I fell asleep, man. I'm sorry.
Oh.
And I was pinning my entire world on you coming to the show. But he gave me a great lesson though, that like you can't put emphasis on who's going to come to watch. I mean, unless it's like Lorne Michaels or something like that, you know. But like your goal is just to have a good show, or your goal is just to have a good writing session, or your goal is to just have a good pitch meeting, whatever it is. So in that sense, all you can do is focus on the act of creating it, the process, and then everything else, you know, it's going to turn out how it is. That's why I say artistic success, commercial failure, because sometimes the
Mhm.
work is amazing, but no one will come to it, or the audience doesn't come to it. The worst is having a artistic failure and a commercial success, because it's like bombing in front of a packed house. That sucks.
Oh,
That's
that's
terrible.
I feel that so much with the podcast and just any creative pursuit, really. Like, I love what you said. The consistent reward is the process. It's not the likes and the shares on social media, and it's not all the applause and the love and the praise. Certainly, our egos like that. They like to hear that. They like to see it. But the reward really is the process. It's the journey. It's continuing to do it. It's having that great writing session. It's meeting a new friend. Like that's part of the process. I love how you said that. That was beautiful.
Well, it goes kind of go back to the sketch versus improv thing. Where in improv, you just show up and the magic happens. Well, you rehearse a lot. That's part of it too, as well.
Yeah,
Not,
yeah.
not to discount improv, but in sketch, it's like, all right, well, I wrote this very specific thing that I think is funny, but will it resonate with an audience? And so then once you put it out there and it's not performing how you like to, then it feels like the Titanic sinking, where you're just like, oh my God, this is not coming out the way I wanted it to. So then what you do is you
Mhm.
just kind of double down on the sketch and all right, I just got to give a better performance or hit these jokes harder or adjust in the moment. But even then, you're going back to the process. So it's funny too. I read a blog post a few years ago about how sketch taught me about process versus product. So,
Oh.
well, because also though, if you do want to be a writer or an actor, the product, you do have to make a good product.
Right.
Sometimes people get too caught up in the process. So like, I don't know, it's a weird yin and yang thing. You need both. Process is the most consistent reward, but when you create a good product that people really enjoy, that's a fucking great reward too.
For sure. And I wanted to ask you, do you have any comedy success goals? I know we're talking about joy and we're talking about the reward as the process, but do you have anything like, if I make it to this, if I do this, then I've made it and everything else will just be a bonus? Or do you feel like you're already there now?
Oh, I feel like I'm already there. Yes and no. My goal is eventually to make a living from comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I have to have my own TV show or something like that.
certainly. That's
Yeah.
the big dream. And you're taking steps to do that though.
Yeah. What's cool about LA, I'll say this, because everyone talks shit on LA, and I get it. What's cool about LA, though, is that you make friends who are actually making it, you know? So you make
Yeah,
friends. Like, oh, I have a few friends who write on TV shows. That's so cool. Or like sometimes
right.
I'll see someone who I know, they're in a commercial, and I'll be like, hey, dad, that's my friend. He's on TV, you know? Or it's like you see someone and you're like, oh, I just heard they got a great job. And it's like, these are your peers. So it does, if they're doing it, it doesn't seem, you know, within out of reach for you to achieve it, you know? So,
Right, right.
yeah, you know, and also I just, man, you know, I'm learning so many things about writing and producing and directing. And, like I say, the more you do it, the more things are revealed to you in terms of like how to make things better. Yeah, not saying everything you do is going to be a home run, and it's common to be like, I just wrote the funniest sketch ever. This thing is going to crush in the table read, and then no one laughs at it, and you're like, what? What happened? Uh,
Right.
or you'll submit something, and you're like, I don't know how to feel about this one. This one feels iffy, and then people will love it. They'll be like, "This is the best thing you've ever written." So back to the poem a day thing, it's just revealed to me that if you show up, magic will happen.
I love that. You show up, magic will happen. It's so true. I'll share with you my goal, my success goal. I've said it
Yeah.
before on the podcast, but my goal is if I make it to Comedy Bang Bang, like if I make it on the Comedy Bang Bang podcast, boom, done. I've made it. Like everything else will just be a bonus. But I would love to be on that podcast as a legit character or even as myself, meaning I created something that I get to talk about on the podcast. But I want to make it on that podcast. That's my success goal.
Hey, you could do it. Honestly, why not? I mean, I did. I remember a few years ago, I met James Adomian. He came to one of my Latinx shows, like on accident. He just was like the clubhouse, and we made friends. And I love him because he does a Hugh Hauser impression. Hugh Hauser was this local California celebrity. He did like a public access show.
Okay.
If you're from California, you got to know who he is or you don't. It's a cult thing, for sure. It's a cultish thing. And I'm like, hey, man, I love your Hugh Hauser thing, And he's like, yeah, man. Every time I see him around, I just say hi to him. And I'm like, oh, I'm in awe of him. And then like a year or two later, Eric Moneypenny, who's the head of the sketch, who's head of the PAC sketch program, he's a great sketch teacher. I missed TA a bunch of times. Go study him.
Yeah.
He had a show called Speed Face. Speed Face is a great show. Speed Face is a great show. You would have 90 seconds to do a bit. And he has a new version of it called Bithole, which is awesome. So people would do, Bithole is a great show. It's first Fridays of the month at the PAC, 8 p.m. Great show.
Nice.
Speed Face was just a great show. And he did like a celebrity Speed Face where he got all his like big comedy friends to come do it. And he invited me to do it. And I was like, what? Are you serious? And then like a bunch of like big UCB people and working comedians were in the back and PAC people. And I saw James Adomian and I was like, hey, what's up, James? And thinking he was going to remember me. He's like, hey, what's up, Fernando? How's it going? How you doing? Yeah, we just hung out for a minute. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Because you see him on TV. He's on Harley Quinn. He's on the Venture Brothers. But I love him as Hugh Hauser. And I was like, oh, we're hanging out in the back for a show. I guess we're peers for the moment. You know? He did a great bit. He did Alec Baldwin doing Donald Trump. That was such a good bit. And then I did my bit with my friend Ali Ramirez. We did like a telenovela in 90 seconds.
Nice.
People like loved it. It got one of the craziest responses I ever got. But like I could say I was in the same bill as James Adomian, which is pretty cool. So I think you could do that easily with them. Yeah, I think it's within reason.
I love those moments that you have. You're like, okay, 5 years ago, I never would have imagined I'd be here. And now I'm here and this is cool. So I do love those kind of moments.
Oh yeah, man. Trust me. It's within reach, it's like one of my really good friends. She's a working TV writer. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, it's all within reach. It's a lot of luck too, but there's also that Lee Trevino quote. He's a golfer. I don't know I think he was a good golfer. I've never seen him golf, but his quote is, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Oh, I love that too. Man, you have so many quotes and books and
oh man. Well, if you're gonna write, you have to read so much. It's like
yeah.
It's like writing a poem a day. I have to be reading like a book a week at least to just keep me inspired for things to write about.
Well, and you are so creative. Like you write, you play music, you do comedy, you speak. You're just a very creative human, though. Overall, like you've got creativity oozing out of you.
Yes.
Do you have any creative goals or pursuits you'd like to do for this year, 2023?
Oh man. Well, I want to take my poetry book and I want to turn it into a one-man show. So I want to do that.
Oh.
Yeah. I've only done a one-man show before, and it was an accident. It wasn't meant to be a one-man show, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I did a talk show, and it ended up becoming just me doing like 90% of the stuff.
So you were the host and the guest on the
For yeah,
talk show?
I did the host, I did the opening bits. I did like a sketch with my friend who was like new to comedy, so he didn't get what I was trying to do with him. It was a very awkward show,
Wow.
but you know what, man? I learned so much from that show. Failure is a great teacher. Yeah, just keep producing things. Submit to competition. So yeah, you gotta submit to competition
Yeah.
because, like I said, like when you have friends who are working in the industry or mentors, like I have a bunch of mentors who are working in the industry. It's like, oh, they're doing it. It's just I just need my lucky break. That's all. I need my lucky break.
Yeah, because you're doing the work, you're showing up, so it's just a matter of timing. And your poems are awesome. Like I read them every day. I see you post them. Like you do not take a day off. You are doing the work.
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes, man, I'm telling you, I'll write something that I'm like, this is the best thing I ever wrote, and then it won't get the response I'm expecting.
Yeah.
Or then sometimes I'll be like, all right, I published this, and people will like, they'll DM me like, that was beautiful. Thank you for writing that. And it's just like you just put it out there, and it's up to the world to receive it how they want to receive it. Once you create it, it's like out of your hands.
But you could still be proud of it. Like you're like, I love this poem, even though it didn't get the reception I thought it would get. Like I still love the work that I did for it.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Yeah, it's like yeah, all right, people liked it. It's funny. Sometimes I read a poem. There's a poem I wrote. It's about dating apps. That I wrote it because I saw that another poem I wrote about dating got a great response. So I was like, oh, people like this topic. All right, maybe I can mine it more.
Yeah.
It didn't get as many likes, but when I read that poem at shows, people like that poem a lot. They like it more.
Interesting.
They like it more than the other dating poem. And like people love this poem about dating. Like they go crazy for it. So it's also a thing of like the mediums too.
Yes.
It's like the different mediums. I have a short film called The American Dream that was directed by Baldev Sandhu. He was a teammate of mine on Moonshot. Great guy. And produced
Nice.
by my friend Valerie Vasilis, who's also awesome. They produced it, and it's funny. The sketch, it's about me. I'm playing my dad, and we're about to cross the border to come into America from Mexico. My parents are from El Salvador, but everyone crosses through Mexico. And it's him and these other guys, and they're talking about the American dream. But they're not talking. They're talking about two guys who are like, yeah, I want like a house with a white picket fence and a beautiful wife and kids and all that stuff. And then my dad's talking about like, well, you know, I want to struggle economically and have difficult relationships with my children, like stuff like that. Uh,
Mhm.
and then I talk about having to code switch and work harder than others, that kind of stuff. It's funny, but I got it to 43 film festivals, and it was received differently by 43 different audiences, and people love it for different reasons. And I showed it to my dad. He's like, "What is this? This is so negative." I'm like, "No, it's beautiful. You don't get it." He's like, he just didn't get it the way I wanted to. It took him a
Right.
while, but other people were like, "Man, I get that." It's funny. We did it in Spanish. The first time we played it for like a majority white audience, they laughed. They laughed. They got it on one level. As we workshopped the sketch, we did it in Spanish for a Latino audience, and they did not laugh,
Mm.
but they were like sighing and they're like clapping, like snapping their fingers. They received it differently. So it's also like your work, where you put it up and who you put it up for will impact how it's received too. So like when you perform a lot too, you just learn that people are gonna receive your work differently in different spaces, and also you learn to make adjustments within your performance so that the whoever you're performing for receives it in a positive way.
I'm sorry. I'm being silent because I'm just like soaking all that in because it's such a great observation too of the work and the different audiences, and we all bring different unique backgrounds too. And I'm just wondering too if the Latinx audience that you performed, like maybe it was more real, like it was on such a real level that they didn't laugh, but it hit so close to home, like they were really feeling it too, and that caused the size, and that's
it's a lot. It's all received. Everything is received differently by just different audiences, and it's cool to have something that plays universally. And
yes.
it's funny because the more specific you are with something, the more universal it resonates with people. So I've written things that are deeply personal and deeply specific. They'll get a very wide response from people. So it's interesting. It's just like
Being vulnerable.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I also have one more thing. I want to encourage everyone, if you can, try to perform in spaces that are not your home space.
Oh, that's a good tip. What? How so? Why?
The reason I say that is because if you only perform in one place, you're only going to know to perform in that one place. And you're going to think that you're like amazing. But that's because you've only played in that one place and that's all you know. If you want to be a really good performer, you have to perform in different places just to see how it is, to get the feeling of how to make adjustments. It's like playing in different baseball parks.
Yeah, different audiences, different. That's a really good tip. Any other last minute tips you want to share before we wrap
Oh,
up?
man.
I mean, you've shared so many, but anything like, I gotta get this out.
Oh, I'll say this: just read things and just see how you can apply them to your improv journey and stuff like that. That's all I would say. You can juxtapose a lot of things. It's just switch out this idea for that idea and apply it to improv. For all I know, we can do it again with musicians, where it's like, all right, we're gonna improvise this little ditty here. Let's 20 other groups to do their own version of it. It might be something we do one day. Who knows? But
that would be cool. That would be super cool. Well, Fernando, you are a wealth of knowledge and experience. I have just seriously, I can listen to you talk about improv and comedy all day. I want to see your one man show for sure when you put it together, when the book is ready. Oh, I can't wait. I will be. I don't sit in the front. I'll be second row in the audience, and
I'll get you comps.
Oh, thank you. But where can our listeners find out more about you and follow you at?
Follow me on Instagram at Fernando A. Funes. So that's it. No separation between my private and professional life.
All the poems are there too, right?
All the poems, all the promos. Yeah. So I publish everything on Instagram, and I use that as my hub for cross posting to other platforms. But yeah, Instagram, that's the best place to find me.
And yeah, you have an improv blog, which has some of the poems, right? Or is that more thoughts?
I have to make a new blog. My poetry blog is complicated. I messed up the name. I have to make a new blog. My poetry is called The Sisyphus Life.wordpress.com. It's too long of a name. Yeah,
you got too deep on that one.
Yeah, at least you got it. Thank you for getting it. Most people don't get it. Because Sisyphus is the Greek god who had to boulder up the hill every day. So, yeah. So there you go. But see, it's too long. Even I can't get it right, and I try to find it. I have to make a new one. That's more Fernando Poem a Day. That's what I got to make. Fernando's Poem a Day.
Keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
Well, any shows to plug?
Sure. Every first Thursday of the month, there's the Duplex at the Glendale Room. It's a duo showcase. Third Thursday of the month at the Glendale Room, there's Fernando's Long Form Supreme. Long Form teams. Yeah, I got to get your team on there.
I just love that name.
I know. I didn't come up with it. Sean Casey did, but I was like, all right, I'll take it. Look out for Duoed again. That's coming at the Lyric. Nuisance, second and fourth Sundays at the Pack Theater at 8 p.m. Moonshot, first Sunday of the month at 9 p.m. Pinata Party, third Friday of the month at the Ledge at 8 p.m. Cuñados, my panel show game, every other Friday at the Pack, every other first Friday at 8 p.m. Yeah,
my God.
There's just too many shows. It's just a lot.
How do you keep it all together? I mean, obviously a calendar helps, but how do you keep it all together?
Oh, all right. Here's a secret too. I'm getting a lot of co-producers too, so they help out too. Yeah, co-producers. My sister does all my social media for those shows, so she's a big help. So there's a team that works with me. It's a small team, but
Yeah.
Trust me, like, yeah, it's a lot of help, and the venues are all very nice and patient with me. So I've lucked out too. So yeah, I don't know. It's all inertia. It's just momentum.
And ride it. That duo it again. If I'm in town, I'm coming to the next show for sure because it sounds like such a blast. So I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, April 30th is the next duo it again.
Okay.
So if you want to do it, 9 p.m. at the Lyric Hyperion. So if
Okay.
you have a partner, I would love to have you do it.
Yes. Oh, that's so fun. Fernando, I love, 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 love what you're doing. Thanks for sharing your stories and your experience. It's so helpful, and you've helped so many people in the community and in comedy. It's really beautiful, and I know you've got more goals and successes to reach. It's coming. You're putting in the work. I'm so happy
Oh,
for
thank you.
you.
Thank you. Great talking to you today. It's been awesome to share my experience with you, and I'm so glad you have this podcast. And I hope this podcast blows up, and that you blow up too, and then you get to do that show with Comedy Bang Bang.
Thank you. And I'm putting in the work. And as we talked, you were saying you were motivated to start up your podcast again. I am motivated to start up my sketch writing again. So we have motivated each other today.
Awesome. Hell yeah. Yeah. Just show up and the magic will happen.
And thank you for showing up today and listening to this episode. I know it was a long one, but also I like long podcasts, if you can't tell. All my episodes, especially the ones with guests, are over an hour usually. I like long podcasts because you can get a lot done. You can get chores done, or you just kind of get into a groove and it doesn't just stop. So, for those long term chores and tasks or walks, long podcasts are great. And that's what this one did. So, you're welcome for that long walk and long chore you got to do today while listening. I so enjoyed this episode. Fernando is amazing. He is a walking quote book here. He knows so many quotes and so many profound lessons from books. I'm astounded. I try to remember a quote and I'm like, oh, I'll just mess it up completely. And he's so good at that. He had so many nuggets of wisdom. I just love the showing up, just show up and do the work. And I like the idea of artistic success versus commercial success and delineating between the two. And certainly we want commercial success, but you also have to have a good product too. And finding the balance of both and also finding the joy. There are so many lessons learned here. I had a great time. And I want to tell you the impetus on how I got Fernando to come on or why I asked Fernando. I already knew he was a great improviser, but I saw one of his poems that he wrote. I think it was in early to mid January, and it was about body image issues and how we treat our bodies so harshly. We talk negatively about them and we do all these things to hurt and harm them, either not eating or taking things we shouldn't or eating poorly. And it just really resonated. And I think that was one that got a lot of comments on, if I can remember, because I commented on it too. I was like, oh my God, that was beautiful. That resonates so much. And then I was like, oh, he does this poem a day thing. That's so cool. I want to talk to him about that. And I didn't even realize, I thought he had done it for a year. I thought it was like a 2022 thing. And then he kept it going in 2023. And to know that it has been going on for basically 6 years, 4 to 6 years, he's been doing this poem a day journey is huge. Oh my God, that's amazing. I'm blown away by the level of consistency there. And it's just now basically a habit for him. And it's not something that he has to do or he's forcing himself to do. He's kind of listening and getting himself into the process. So whatever comes, he writes. Super cool. It's really inspiring, and I'm motivated by that a ton. I'm really motivated by him and his work ethic, and all the things he posts are so profound. So please follow him on either Instagram or Twitter, Facebook, whatever you like to use. I think he uses IG and then blasts it elsewhere, but it's so cool to see what he's doing. And he's always doing shows. He's always in shows. It's awesome. He's very dedicated to the craft, and all that hard work is paying off now. I mean, he's gotten so many skills out of it, and it'll continue paying off for him. So well done, Fernando. And for you listening, we talked a lot today about showing up and how the consistent reward is the process. So I want to ask you in reflection, how is your process? Are you consistently showing up and putting in the work, or do you want to hit the easy button and say, well, I want to perform more, but I don't want to produce a show, or I don't want to do all that. I just want to get up on stage. In whatever form that is. Like, do you want to write a book? Or I don't know. Writing a book seems so hard. So again, kudos to Fernando for putting together his poetry book. What is it that you're trying to do? And how are you showing up for it? How are you being consistent about it? Are you getting in your head about it and letting that self-talk take over and say, well, what's the point? No one's liking it. No one's noticing it. It doesn't matter. It has to matter to you first. I am blown away by all the amazing people that I get to talk to on this podcast. And I know that we a lot of times focus it on the lens of improv or comedy or some version of it. And we kind of talk about the journey through that lens of improv and such. But it can relate to so much. It can relate to everything we're doing. Any kind of creative pursuit you're doing has so many emotions that come up along the way, and it really can affect our progress and our consistency of continuing on. So I hope you found today very inspiring. I know I did. And I'm going to go finish that sketch and ship it off, ship it out. So that way it's done and I can continue on. I am really motivated to start again on the sketch thing. Just hearing Fernando talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get back into writing. So what are you motivated by? What are you going to pick up? What are you going to start doing again or continue doing? How are you going to show up? I would love to hear. If you feel like sharing, please reach out to me. You can email me at Dana@improvispeaking. That's DAYNA @improvispeaking.com. I'm on Instagram at improvispeaking. On LinkedIn, I'm at Dana Gowan. And, reach out to me. I'm happy to chat, happy to know what you're trying to achieve. What are your goals? Where are you missing the mark? And how can we show up for each other and help each other achieve our goals? There's so much to do. There's so much to get done. But the key thing is you can't get it all done in one day. So how can you consistently keep working on it every day so that you do eventually reach your goal and hit that mark and get it done? Thank you for showing up and listening and supporting Improv Speaking. I'm so grateful for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you next time.